The Galactic Council chamber was built to intimidate. 1,000 towering pillars, holographic banners floating like ghosts, and hundreds of alien diplomats seated in shining circular rows. It was a place where the galaxy pretended to be civilized. A place where justice was supposed to live. But today justice died. Every massive screen in the hall flashed the same cold sentence in bold red letters. Humanity is hereby expelled from the Council. Gasps echoed. Then cheers. Alien species who once smiled with humans now celebrated their exile like it was a festival. Dozens of diplomats clapped their clawed hands, pounded their tails, clicked their mandibles in excitement. The chamber roared with pride, cruelty, and arrogance. And yet, in the center of all this noise, the human delegation stood perfectly still. Their faces pale. Their eyes burning with shock, disbelief, and a growing fire. Ambassador Hale tightened his jaw until it ached. The words hit him like a punch to the chest. He stepped forward, voice trembling but steady. This is a mistake. A grave one. Humanity has stood with this council in every war, every crisis, every silence. A tall reptilian counselor hissed, cutting him off. Humans bring instability, emotion, chaos. Another counselor leaned forward, lips curled with amusement. Your compassion is dangerous. You form alliances too easily. You interfere wherever you go. A third alien, a stone-skinned giant, slammed his fist down. You care too much. That makes you unpredictable. Ambassador Hale felt every insult like a blade. Behind him, Terran soldiers in formal armor clenched their fists so tightly their knuckles turned white. Scientists lowered their heads in disbelief. Medics looked at each other in fear. No one understood how quickly this betrayal came. Humanity hadn't broken a law. Humanity hadn't attacked anyone. Humanity hadn't threatened anyone. They were exiled simply for being who they were. The Council had always feared humans, not for their weapons, but for their hearts. Hale tried one last time. We helped build this council. We saved half your civilizations. You are dismissed, the council leader snarled. Leave. The human delegation stood frozen for a heartbeat. Then 2 armored guards shoved them toward the exit. Humanity walked out of the Galactic Council in silence. The doors slammed shut behind them with a sound that echoed across the galaxy. A sound like abandonment. A sound like betrayal. That same sound traveled through every Terran outpost, every Earth colony, every human city. Broadcasts lit up millions of screens. People stopped in the middle of streets to watch. Workers froze where they stood. Children stared at the announcement with wide eyes. Soldiers felt anger. Parents felt fear. And Earth felt something it had not felt in centuries. Deep, heavy betrayal. Within hours, protests filled cities. Arguments raged between scientists, politicians, and generals. Some wanted to appeal. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted answers. But their voices faded when Earth's global leadership delivered one final message: we will not beg. That night, Earth went silent. Stargates around the system shut down instantly. Terran communication networks with alien worlds cut off in one click. Long-range satellites folded inward like falling stars and vanished. Human colonies across space received the last transmission: return home or remain quiet. We enter isolation. And then, Earth disappeared. Not physically, but politically, militarily, and technologically. All traffic ceased. All signals died. Every border closed. Every map went blank. The galaxy was stunned at first. Then amused. Many alien species mocked humans for running away. They called Earth a coward. They laughed at the silence. Some even celebrated. But the laughter didn't last long. Because one by one, strange things began to happen. Alien star charts lost every human ship. Even the ones that were far from Earth. Trade routes to Terran space simply shut down. Ships that tried to enter Terran borders vanished completely. No signals, no debris, no wreckage. Just gone. Deep space sensors detected impossible gravitational waves near the far edges of the Milky Way. Old ruins, ancient Terran structures from forgotten wars, reactivated with bright blue energy. Long-dead satellite rings circling Earth began glowing again. And most unsettling of all, human technology began evolving faster than anyone had ever recorded. Yet not a single alien spy could get close enough to see how. The galaxy grew uneasy. Rumors grew wild. Earth is building superweapons. Earth has awakened old gods. Earth discovered a new energy source. Earth is preparing for revenge. But no one knew the truth. In the shadows of silence, Earth had united. For the first time in human history, every nation, every army, every scientist, every leader came together under one banner. No division, no politics, no ego, just purpose. And humanity began building something colossal, bigger than a fleet, bigger than a nation, bigger than any empire known before. They called it whispered names, the single empire, the Terran core, the silent empire, the one empire of Earth, hidden from the stars, hidden behind silence, hidden behind pain. The galaxy had cast humanity out. But humanity didn't break. Humanity didn't fall. Humanity evolved. And nothing in the universe would ever be the same. For months after Earth vanished behind locked borders, the galaxy pretended nothing had changed. Trade routes continued. Empires argued. Council meetings resumed as if the betrayal of the humans was just another political vote. But space itself knew better. The silence around Earth felt wrong. Too deep, too heavy, too absolute. Like a breathing void. Alien scouts were the first to notice it. A small exploration vessel from the Vora Union drifted near Terran borders, scanning for familiar signatures, old satellite beacons, old trade lanes, old Terran signals. But the scanners found nothing. Not a single pulse. Not a single reflection. Terran space looked empty. Too empty. The void swallowed sound, radiation, even the ship's own pings. It's like space itself is hiding Earth, the Vora pilot whispered. Their co-pilot nodded nervously. Or Earth is hiding from space. They turned their ship around quickly, unwilling to linger. They never reported what they sensed creeping at the edge of their instruments. A faint vibration, not from engines, but from something enormous moving deep in the darkness. Something alive. And it wasn't just one ship. Scout after scout from different empires attempted to approach Terran territory. Every attempt ended the same way. Instruments malfunctioned. Navigation jammed. Long-range scanners fizzled. The moment they crossed into a certain invisible line, their ships turned around automatically, pushed back by a force no one understood. It wasn't violence. It wasn't an attack. It was simply refusal. Terran space refused to let them in. And that scared everyone. The Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. The alien hall buzzed with fear. Earth is creating a new weapon, something massive. No, they are building fleets. No, they are building an empire. We should attack before it grows. Ambassador Tsava, a feathered reptilian, hissed loudly. Humans always hide before they strike. We must stop them. But some alien leaders hesitated. Elder Tavana, a wise telepathic being, closed her eyes and whispered, I once worked with humans. When they go silent, they are not preparing for war. They are preparing for survival. The room fell quiet. Survival meant desperation. Desperation created evolution. And evolution made humans unstoppable. Meanwhile, inside the silent borders Earth had drawn, something extraordinary unfolded. The planet that once struggled with politics and division now moved like one body, one mind, one heartbeat. Old nations dissolved. Old governments merged. Old rivalries died. Humanity reshaped itself into a single united command, the Terran Core Authority. Every scientist, soldier, engineer, builder, AI specialist, and strategist was absorbed into a single purpose. Humans who once fought each other now stood shoulder to shoulder in massive underground factories carved beneath Earth's crust. Orbital rings around the planet glowed bright as new shipyards activated. Old relics from human history, dormant warships, forgotten prototypes, ancient engine cores, were brought back to life. Humanity had never been this focused, this organized, disunited. Not even during old Earth wars. Not even during ancient invasions. This unity was something new. Something terrifying. Something beautiful. Across the solar system, human outposts activated long-range mining machines. Asteroid belts glowed with blue light as energy crystals were harvested. Jupiter's orbit filled with silent black shipyards bigger than entire alien cities. On the dark side of the moon, massive hangars opened, releasing ships no one had seen before. Sleek, silent, black like the void, with faint blue lights pulsing across their hulls like veins. These were not old Terran ships. These were Singularity-class vessels, designed in secret during humanity's exile. Ships that ran not on fuel, but on gravitational manipulation. Ships that could appear and disappear. Ships that could tear holes in the sky. Meanwhile, human AI networks connected in a massive digital web. Every node, every processor, every microchip linked into a single thinking lattice. It wasn't one AI. It was thousands of AIs working together as one. The Terran Intelligence Core. Humankind had built the mind of an empire. And in the deepest chamber beneath Earth's crust, a colossal engine pulsed brighter each day. Larger than mountains, older than human history, built from technology discovered long ago but never used, until now. The Alpha Singularity Reactor, capable of powering not ships, but civilizations. And at the center of this awakening Earth stood the one thing the galaxy forgot about: human hearts. Engineers worked 20 hours a day. Soldiers trained under triple gravity. Scientists built without rest. Not for revenge. Not for conquest. But for protection. Humanity didn't survive exile by hiding. Humanity survived by evolving. But even with all their advancements, even with their new silent empire rising, humans had one rule burned into their soul. Never hurt unless we are threatened. That rule shaped everything they built. Everything they created. Everything they prepared for. And the galaxy had no idea. One night, while the world worked under the soft glow of orbital forges, a hidden Terran fleet quietly lifted from Earth's atmosphere. They rose into space like ghost ships, silent, colossal, terrifyingly elegant. Their black hulls reflected nothing. Their engines made no sound. They vanished into the darkness without leaving a trace. Not even the Council's best sensors detected them. But the shadows of deep space felt their presence. The galaxy didn't know it yet, but Earth had just taken its first step as a hidden empire. An empire with no allies, no council, no fear. An empire built from betrayal. An empire forged in silence. An empire united for the first time in history. The Terran Single Empire. And while the galaxy continued debating, mocking, and doubting humanity, something massive stirred in the far edges of space. Tremors shook ancient void sectors. Long-forgotten Terran ruins lit up like waking giants. The ground of dead moons split open as engines beneath them activated. The Singularity Network spread like a heartbeat through the dark. The galaxy whispered, "Humans are gone." Reality whispered back. The alien cargo ship Vishari Dawn drifted silently along the border of what used to be Terran space. The pilot, a small insectoid named Chiron, tapped nervously at his console as warning lights pulsed around him. His mandibles twitched. His wings trembled. He shouldn't have come this close. No one should have. Terran space had become a ghost zone. Ships entered. Nothing came out. Navigation systems died. Engines failed. The void swallowed signals whole. But Chiron had no choice. His route was changed by a solar storm. He was forced toward the forbidden zone. "Maybe the humans really are gone," he whispered to calm himself. His co-pilot, a young reptilian named Savra, forced a shaky smile. "Maybe the stories are just council fearmongering." Chiron nodded slowly. "Maybe." The ship's lights flickered. The temperature dropped. A cold wave swept across the cabin like someone exhaled ice into the air. Savra's hands froze above the controls. "Did you feel that?" she whispered. Chiron swallowed. "Yes." Something was wrong with the stars outside. They weren't twinkling. They weren't moving. They weren't even real. The space ahead looked like a wall of darkness. Thick, cold, silent. Chiron's voice cracked. Is that a nebula? Savra shook her head slowly. No. Nebulas don't watch you. The darkness shifted. Just slightly. Enough to feel alive. Savra's breath hitched. Back away. Slowly. Now. Chiron turned the ship. Engines hummed. Thrusters fired. But the ship didn't move. It felt like gravity itself held it in place. Then every console died. Screens went black. Lights shut off. Air vibrated. And space tore open. A slit of glowing blue light appeared right in front of them. Thin at first, like a scratch on glass. Then it widened. And widened. And widened. A shadow stepped out. No, not a shadow. A ship. But not like any ship the galaxy had ever seen. Massive. Black. Alive. Smooth like obsidian. Glowing with faint blue veins that pulsed like a heartbeat. Silent as death. It didn't fly toward them. It simply appeared. Perfectly. Effortlessly. Terrifyingly. Savra's voice broke into a whisper. That design. It's impossible. Chiron felt his legs shaking. It's human. A deep vibration filled the cargo ship. Not sound, pressure. Like the universe itself was holding its breath. Then a calm, controlled human voice echoed inside their cockpit without any radio, without any transmission device, unregistered vessel. You have entered restricted space. Chiron dropped to his knees. Savra gripped the console so hard her claws cracked the metal. The voice continued, steady and cold. This territory belongs to the Terran Single Empire. Every word hit with the weight of a collapsing star. Savra's eyes widened. Terran what? Chiron whispered the only truth in his heart. Earth built an empire. The massive black ship shifted slightly, its hull rippling with dark energy. Not a weapon, something older. Something deeper. Something that felt like intelligence woven into metal. The human voice spoke again. Identify your purpose. Chiron stuttered. We're traders. Our route shifted. We didn't mean to cross. The voice cut him off. We are aware. Savra blinked in confusion. They already knew. The human voice continued. Your intentions are non-hostile. Your fear is high. You seek only passage. Chiron collapsed against the floor, tears gathering in his eyes. He wasn't afraid of death. He was overwhelmed by the presence of something so powerful it made his soul tremble. Are you going to destroy us? He whispered. There was a pause. Not cold. Not warm. Simply human. No. We do not harm those who do not harm us. Savra gasped softly, a sound full of relief and disbelief. Chiron's voice cracked again. Why did Earth disappear? Why did you go silent? Why build all this? The human voice grew heavy, like centuries of pain lived behind the words. Because the galaxy cast us out. Because we learned no one would protect us. The black ship's energy veins glowed brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat rising. So we protected ourselves. Chiron felt something sharp in his chest, a realization, a fear, a respect he didn't know he could feel. Savra whispered, almost reverently, then, the rumors, the stories, the legends, they're all true. The human voice softened. Leave this place. Carry no maps. Carry no warnings. Forget you saw us. Chiron felt a lump in his throat. Why let us go? The answer came like a slow sunrise breaking through darkness. Because you were afraid. And because fear is not a crime. Savra's eyes filled with tears she didn't understand. Chiron bowed his head in the direction of the ship outside. Thank you, Terran Empire. The human voice spoke one final time. Go! Light exploded around their vessel. Soft, warm, blinding. When the light faded, they were back in normal space, far from the Terran border. No marks. No damage. Not even a trace of the teleportation. Chiron collapsed into his chair. Savra covered her face in trembling hands. We saw them, the hidden empire. We saw what Earth has become, Chiron whispered, voice shaking. And the galaxy has no idea how small it truly is. The moment Chiron and Savra's ship escaped Terran space, the galaxy changed, quietly, invisibly, but completely. Their report spread not through officials, but through whispers. Through frightened gasps. Through trembling voices in dark corners of star stations. Through trembling crew members who refused to sleep after seeing the black giant floating in the void. And within hours, those whispers reached the Galactic Council. Panic came next. Not slowly. Not politely. It came like fire. The council chamber, once a place of pride and arrogance, felt smaller that day. Tighter. Cold. Filled with an uncomfortable fear most aliens did not know how to handle. Counselors murmured loudly. Some shouted. Some trembled. Some refused to believe what they were hearing. A Terran ship larger than a dreadnought. Impossible. Humans don't have that technology. It appeared out of nowhere. Out of nothing. A single empire? A unified Earth? That cannot be. Humans are too divided. Ambassador Tsava slammed his claws against the table, his voice cracking with fear disguised as anger. I told you. Humans are dangerous. This is their revenge. Elder Tavana, old and wise, closed her eyes. No. Humans do not take revenge. They protect. Someone pushed them to this. A huge, stone-skinned warrior from the Kroll Empire leaned forward. Then what did we push them into building? No one answered. Fear crawled across every seat in the chamber. For centuries, the council believed humans were unstable, emotional, weak. Yet now, humans had vanished. Built something powerful in the dark. And returned with ships that broke the laws of physics. The council leader finally rose, slamming his staff to silence the chaos. Read the report, he commanded. A trembling translator activated the hologram. Chiron's voice played softly, shaking, terrified. The ship was breathing. Alive. It spoke directly into our minds. It let us go. Because we were afraid. Because fear is not a crime. The chamber froze as his final words hit the air like thunder. This is no longer the Earth we knew. Silence swallowed the room. Deep, heavy, suffocating. The council leader's voice cracked. What does this Terran ship want? Elder Tavana whispered back. Nothing. That is what frightens me. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, regular civilians trembled as news spread. On space stations, families pressed to windows, staring at Terran borders that now felt like black holes. Soldiers in different armies whispered prayers they hadn't spoken in years. Merchant fleets rerouted trade routes entirely, refusing to pass within 10 light-years of human territory. Even pirate factions, normally fearless, reckless, and violent, announced one message across all channels: we will not touch Terran space. Fear of humans spread faster than the speed of light. And Earth had not shown a single weapon. Not fired a single shot. Not made a single threat. The galaxy feared Earth simply because it realized the truth. Humans were no longer predictable. Inside the council chamber, arguments turned into chaos. Some wanted peace. Some wanted war. Some wanted to pretend nothing was happening. But the loudest voices came from those terrified of losing their power. We must gather a fleet. We must force Earth to talk. We must surround their borders. We must show strength. Elder Tavana rose again, eyes glowing faintly with ancient wisdom. Listen to yourselves. You exiled them. You insulted them. You isolated them. Her voice softened, trembling slightly. They did not respond with violence, but with unity. She looked around slowly. Humans were broken. You pushed them into silence. And in that silence, they built something greater than all of us. The entire room stared at her. She finished with a whisper that chilled even the bravest among them. You created the Terran Empire. The council leader slammed his staff. Enough. We need proof. Actual proof. And fate answered him immediately. A loud alarm blared across the entire chamber. Screens lit up. Emergency holograms activated. Unknown energy surge detected in Sector K-91. Warp signature, massive, unknown origin. Something is emerging from FTL. Council members jumped to their feet. The hologram shifted, showing black space. Silent. Still. Then space folded inward, like a dark cloth twisted by invisible hands. Light flickered. Stars bent. Gravity screamed. And a Terran Singularity-class ship decloaked slowly from the void. The size of a small moon. Smooth. Silent. Black like the inside of a dying star. Blue veins pulsing across its hull like a heartbeat awakening. Every council member froze. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy saw Earth again. A transmission suddenly cut into every channel in the council chamber. A simple human voice, calm, steady, emotionless, echoed through the hall. Do not fear. We are not your enemy. The chamber trembled. Councillors shook. Some nearly fainted. The message continued, but do not repeat your mistake. The screens flickered as the ship turned slightly, its hull glowing brighter. We are watching. We are silent. We are prepared. Elder Tavana whispered, they're warning us. The voice delivered one final line, soft, but sharp like a blade. Do not provoke humanity again. The transmission ended. The ship vanished. Not jumped. Not warped. It simply disappeared. No trail. No signature. No trace. Panic erupted in the chamber. Pure chaos. Terrified shouts. Screams. Angry demands for explanations. Fears that Earth would attack. Fears that Earth was unstoppable. Fears that exile had awakened something ancient inside humanity. And far away, inside Terran borders, humans watched the Council's panic through silent monitors. But they did not celebrate. They did not cheer. They did not seek revenge. They simply whispered the new oath every citizen knew by heart. We stand alone. Together. Earth had not shown anger. Earth had shown restraint. And that restraint scared the galaxy more than any weapon ever could. The galaxy did not sleep after the Terran Singularity ship appeared and vanished like a ghost. Fear didn't fade. It grew. It crawled into every council meeting, every military base, every star station corridor. Leaders whispered in dark corners. Soldiers avoided looking toward the Terran border. Civilians felt dread without understanding why. But fear alone could not stop arrogance. And arrogance was the Council's disease. Within 3 days, the High Council announced what they believed was a brave response. They called it a peacekeeping demonstration. But everyone knew the truth. They were afraid. They needed to feel powerful again. They needed to prove humanity had not surpassed them. So they launched the largest military fleet assembled in centuries. Over 1,200 ships, including dreadnoughts, battleships, carriers, destroyers, elite fighters, the combined might of 12 empires. The convoy stretched across space like a metallic river of fire and pride. Crews stood at their stations trembling, trying to hide their fear behind training and steel. The council leader made a loud broadcast, forcing confidence into a trembling voice. We go to the Terran border to ensure peace and stability. Humanity must not be allowed to intimidate the galaxy. But deep inside, even he knew they were making the biggest mistake in galactic history. The fleet entered hyperspace, engines burning bright. Every pilot whispered a different prayer. Every commander whispered the same lie, Terrans won't dare attack us. They had no idea what awaited them. When the fleet exited hyperspace near Terran borders, the first thing they felt was nothing. No signals. No beacons. No satellites. No resistance. Empty, silent space. It was more terrifying than any enemy. A nervous reptilian captain scanned the area again and again. No Terran ships. No defenses. Nothing. Are they hiding? A stone-skinned general growled. Good. The cowards know we're stronger. But his officer found something, a faint shimmer in the darkness. At first it looked like heat distortion. Then it grew, spread, widened. The darkness rippled like a curtain moving in wind. And suddenly, something enormous stepped out of it. Not a ship. A shadow the size of a small planet. Smooth. Silent. Black metal illuminated by slow-flowing blue veins glowing like liquid ice. A Terran Singularity Titan. Bigger than any ship they had ever seen. Bigger than entire fleets. It floated toward them gently. Calm, controlled, unhurried. Like it wasn't a war machine but a celestial being drifting through creation. The Council fleet panicked instantly. What is that? It's too big. Why is it silent? Why is it not firing? Admiral Voss, the leader of the Council Armada, forced a shaky breath. All ships, hold position. Do not fire unless provoked. His voice broke slightly. It didn't matter. Because something worse happened. The void around them changed again. Dozens of Terran ships decloaked. Then hundreds. Each one different. Some slender and sharp. Some wide like floating walls. Some so large they made even dreadnoughts look like insects. The Terran Single Empire had surrounded the entire Council Armada, without a single sensor detecting them arriving. That was the moment everyone understood. Earth was not stronger. Earth was operating on a different level of existence. And then a voice entered every ship. Calm. Deep. Human. Galactic Council Fleet. You have entered Terran's sovereign space. Admiral Voss swallowed hard. His hands shook. This is a diplomatic mission. The human voice answered instantly. Diplomatic missions do not carry 1,200 warships. Silence spread like cold poison inside every council vessel. The voice continued. We know your intentions. You seek to test our strength. To measure us. To intimidate us. The massive Terran Titan ship slowly lifted its nose up, revealing colossal weapon ports that glowed with white-blue plasma. We do not wish to harm you. The Council fleet trembled. Literally. Their ships vibrated under the pressure of Terran presence. Admiral Voss felt his throat close. Prepare defensive formations, he shouted. But before his fleet could even move, the human voice said one more line. One that would be repeated in history books for the next 1,000 years. Do not raise your weapons. The moment those words reached the fleet, panic and pride collided. On the far right flank, 3 Council destroyers, frightened, shaking, barely controlled, fired defensive shots automatically. Not at the Terran ships. Just into space. But Terran ships registered it as weapons discharge. And then something unbelievable happened. The Terran Titan ship didn't return fire. It simply pulsed. A silent wave of light spread through space like a ripple on water. No explosion. No sound. No fire. But every Council ship it touched shut down. Instantly. Engines off. Weapons off. Shields down. Lights dead. Entire fleets went dark. 1,200 ships disabled in a single, peaceful pulse. Every crew member sat frozen in darkness, mouths open, hearts pounding. No one was dead. No ship exploded. But they had been defeated without a single Terran shot. Without harm. Without violence. Without anger. Admiral Voss whispered in the silent dark bridge of his flagship, voice hollow. They shut down an entire armada, peacefully. The human voice returned, soft and calm. You came seeking strength. Now you have seen it. The Titan vessel glowed brighter, its energy veins pulsing with slow, controlled power. Earth did not build this empire to conquer. The Council couldn't breathe. We built it because you cast us out. Admiral Voss closed his eyes, tears forming as reality crushed him. And the human voice delivered the final blow. Leave. Take your fleet home. And never cross our borders with weapons again. The Titan ship dimmed. The Terran fleet vanished into nothingness as if swallowed by shadows. One by one, Council ships rebooted, systems returning with soft clicks and blinking screens. No one spoke for several minutes. No one could. They had just experienced the power of a united Earth. And Earth had shown restraint more terrifying than war. The galaxy only saw Earth from the outside. Silent borders, dark space, and ships that moved like shadows. But inside Terran territory, the truth was far larger, deeper, and more powerful than anyone beyond their borders could ever imagine. This was no longer the fractured Earth the Council once mocked. This was something reborn. Something forged in pain. Something united under one purpose. The Terran Single Empire. Humanity had changed at its core. After the Council exile, Earth didn't collapse. It didn't break. It didn't turn on itself. It healed. The scars of centuries finally closed. Old nations that once fought over maps, flags, and power now sat on the same table with one mind: survival. Every leader signed the Terror Accord in a single night. Lines on maps vanished. Borders dissolved. Armies merged. Cultures collaborated. There were no countries now. Only one voice. One purpose. One people. Earth's surface transformed quietly. Entire cities shifted underground to hide from Council eyes. Oceans filled with floating solar platforms. Skies carried orbital elevators rising like pillars of light into the atmosphere. The night sky glowed faintly with thousands of new satellites, not for spying, but for linking every Terran mind into one global network of purpose. But the real empire didn't exist on Earth's surface. It lived beyond it. On the far side of the moon, hidden from all alien telescopes, a megastructure the size of mountains hummed with blue light, the Lunar Forge. Inside it, hundreds of thousands of humans worked in unison, constructing ships that no empire had ever dreamed of. Engines built on gravitational compression. Hulls reinforced with energy-binding carbon. AI co-pilots linked directly to quantum cores. A single singularity ship took thousands of minds working together, but the humans did it with quiet discipline. Above Earth's upper atmosphere, an enormous ring encircled the planet. The Terran Orbital Spine. A station so large it could be seen from the poles. It was both shield and city, home to millions of engineers, families, soldiers, scientists, and children who grew up watching ships the size of continents rise from the docks like newborn titans learning to walk. Every day, thousands woke before dawn, walked into warm-lit work halls, and began building a future no one else believed they could have. Not because they wanted to conquer. Not because they wanted revenge. But because they refused to be vulnerable again. Deep within Mars, red deserts hid something even greater: the Ascendant Engine. A power reactor so massive it pulsed like a metal heart beneath the planet's crust. It powered the entire Terran fleet, every shipyard, every AI core. Humans maintained it with reverence. They stood in silence when the reactor's glow brightened. They whispered thanks to the ancient human scientists who designed its first blueprint centuries ago. Even children knew the story. When the galaxy turned away, we turned toward each other. In the asteroid belt, mining ships tore metal from rock while singing old Earth songs. In Europa's oceans, underwater habitats glowed softly with white-blue light, filled with families who lived in peace as schools of strange alien fish swam past the windows. On Titan, domed cities shone like lanterns in the thick haze, their streets quiet and safe, something humanity had not enjoyed in centuries. This was not an empire of kings. Not an empire of tyrants. Not an empire of conquest. It was an empire built from fear turned into unity. And the galaxy had no idea. Inside the Earth Command Citadel, a colossal white tower rising from the center of the Terran orbital spine, sat the Council Earth never needed. A room filled with leaders of different backgrounds, languages, and beliefs, all with the same purpose: protect humanity at any cost. At the center sat the supreme commander of the Terran Empire, a calm woman named Arya Voss. Her eyes were sharp but gentle, carrying the weight of 1,000,000 lives and the memory of exile etched into her soul. She had watched the old council mock humans. She had watched Earth cry out for help. She had watched the galaxy turn its back. She had never forgotten. In a dark, quiet moment, she stood before a massive screen showing the footage of the council fleet being disabled peacefully. She didn't smile at their defeat. She didn't celebrate. She whispered something soft. We didn't build this to destroy them. We built this so we never feel powerless again. Her words were carved into the heart of the Terran Empire. In training arenas, soldiers practiced under triple gravity. Sweat dripped from their foreheads as they trained not to kill, but to shield. They learned to stand between danger and civilians. They learned to rescue under fire. They learned to survive when no one else would. Each soldier carried a silent oath in their heart. We protect, even in darkness. In AI sanctums, artificial minds floated as glowing spheres inside crystal chambers. They hummed softly as they planned logistics, constructed ships, healed ecosystems on ruined colonies, and guided Terran expansion with cold logic mixed with human empathy. The one thing no other AI in the galaxy possessed. In the hearts of humans living in quiet colonies light years from Earth, there was fear too, but not fear of enemies. It was fear of losing what they had created together. They worked harder, loved deeper, laughed louder. They lived for each other. And in many corners of the Empire, old memories still hurt. Families remembered the exile. Soldiers remembered humiliation. Children learned stories of how the Council cast their people aside. Pain remained, but it no longer broke them. It formed them. Every Terran child grew up knowing what the galaxy didn't. Humans were not silent because they were weak. They were silent because they were preparing something that required silence. Every human heart carried the same message: we didn't build this empire to fight. We built it because one day, someone will need us. And far beyond Terran borders, deep in alien space, that day was coming. Unseen by the galaxy, something ancient and hungry moved in the shadows. Something that had destroyed civilizations older than the Council. Something the Council refused to believe in, and Earth, the Terran single empire, felt the tremor first. The Terran Empire had learned to breathe in silence. But silence never lasts forever. Especially not in a galaxy built on fear, betrayal, and old shadows. Far beyond Terran borders, in a small and peaceful star system named Alarian, a species called the Sarai lived quietly. They were soft-spoken, gentle, and harmless, one of the few species who had defended humans during their exile. They welcomed humans when no one else did. They sheltered human refugees. They stood against the Council's cruelty. They showed kindness when the rest of the galaxy showed knives. And now, they were under attack. It began with a tremor in space, a vibration that shook sensors across Sarai colonies. Their skies turned red as an ancient enemy they believed extinct descended on them, the Naraki swarm. Creatures of metal and shadow, beings that consumed entire worlds, leaving nothing but dust behind. The Sarai had no armies, no defenses, no fleets. They were peaceful people, artists and farmers and scholars who believed kindness could survive the stars. But the galaxy rarely rewards kindness. The Naraki struck without warning, ripping through the first Sarai colony like a silent storm. Buildings collapsed. Forests burned. Sky spheres cracked open. Children screamed as the ground trembled under black machines that walked like spiders made of steel. Desperate leaders sent a distress signal across the galaxy. They begged the Council for help. They cried for protection. They pleaded for mercy. The response? Silence. Inside the Council chamber, ambassadors dismissed the message. Too far. Too risky. Not our problem. Another counselor waved the report away. The Sarai have nothing to offer. No resources. No military. Why should we interfere? The leader of the Council narrowed his eyes. If we help one weak species, others will expect help. That is not our responsibility. They turned their screens off. The Sarai were alone. But the galaxy forgot one thing. One single, important thing. The Sarai once helped humanity. And humanity never forgets kindness. Not ever. Deep inside the Terran orbital spine, Commander Arya Voss stood before the silent war table. A soft alarm blinked, one she had not seen in years. A beacon. Not from Terran colonies. Not from human space. But from the Sarai. The hologram cracked with static and then sharpened. Flames, broken cities, children crying, shadows ripping through homes. And a single message, small, shaking, terrified. If anyone can hear us, please, help us. We are dying. Arya froze. Her heart clenched so painfully she had to hold the table to stay upright. She remembered those words. She remembered that tone. She remembered Lyra 9. Earth had cried the same way once. And no one came. No one helped. No one cared. The Terran Empire did not need a meeting. Did not need permission. Did not need votes. Arya Voss straightened, her eyes cold as steel. Prepare the fleet. Officers looked up instantly, hearts racing. Which fleet, Commander? Arya whispered, all of them. In less than 6 minutes, the Empire moved like a single body breathing fire. Massive singularity ships powered up, their blue veins glowing like storms rising from stone. Command carriers detached from the lunar forge. War drones swarmed out of orbital hangars like flocks of deadly birds. Entire armadas uncloaked from the dark side of moons and hidden asteroid fields. Terran interceptors flickered into existence as if born from shadows. AI cores hummed to life, calculating millions of combat simulations in seconds. The Empire did not move with rage. It moved with purpose. With loyalty. With memory. With the weight of a debt humanity had never forgotten. Inside the command citadel, Arya Voss stood in front of a giant window, watching thousands of ships align into perfect formations. Her voice echoed across every Terran vessel. We were cast out when we needed help. We were ignored when we cried for mercy. The fleets trembled with emotion. The Sarai did not ignore us. They stood with humanity when the galaxy betrayed us. Her eyes hardened. Now we stand with them. Across the Empire, millions of Terrans breathed the same words, we answer the call. Astra Singularity, the largest and most powerful ship humanity had ever built, opened its wings as energy surged through it like a living supernova. Arya stepped onto the command deck. Jump! Lights flashed. Gravity bent. And the Terran Empire vanished into the stars. When the Terran Armada arrived near Alarion, the Sarai homeworld was moments away from collapse. Fires burned through forests. The sky was thick with Naraki machines dragging civilians from their homes. The Sarai had formed small human chains, trying to protect their children with their own bodies. Their leaders were bleeding on the ground, refusing to abandon their people. And their distress beacon flickered with the last of its energy. Please, someone. We don't want to die. Then the sky tore open. The Sarai looked up through smoke and tears. The clouds twisted apart as a colossal shadow descended over the burning horizon. Blue light pierced the sky. Engines roared like the arrival of judgment itself. And then, the first Terran Singularity ship broke through atmosphere. Smooth, black, glowing, eternal. The Sarai fell to their knees. Some in shock, some in disbelief, some in pure relief. Because they all whispered the same thing, humans. A deep voice thundered across the entire planet. Sarai people, this is the Terran Empire. The Naraki froze. Their metal legs twitched. Their cold eternal programming stuttered. The voice grew louder, resonating like a star roaring. You are no longer alone. And then the skies filled with thousands of Terran ships descending like stars falling from heaven. Interceptors streaked across the battlefield. Drones unleashed swarms of blue fire. Titan-class carriers hovered above cities like protective guardians. Terran soldiers dropped into burning villages, lifting Sarai civilians into safety with gentle, steady hands. Human soldiers moved through the chaos like storms with hearts, shielding, rescuing, protecting with every breath. A soldier pulled a crying Sarai child from rubble and whispered, "You're safe now. We're here." Another soldier stood in front of falling debris, letting it shatter against his armor while holding a wounded elder behind him. Terran medics knelt beside injured Sarai, putting pressure on wounds, whispering calm words, refusing to let anyone die. Meanwhile, the Naraki swarm, beings that had destroyed dozens of worlds, faced something they had never faced before, a united humanity. Terran ships sliced through Naraki forces like cutting shadows. Every blast was clean. Every strike was precise. No collateral damage. No wasted energy. No unnecessary violence. Only protection. At the center of the world, the Naraki overmind rose, its enormous body made of shifting metal and piercing lights. It screeched, "This world will fall." Arya Voss appeared in front of it, her ship hovering like a burning star of human fury. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Not while we stand. The Overmind attacked. The Terran Singularity shield absorbed everything. Arya whispered one command, end it. A single pulse burst from the Terran flagship, soft, white, and silent. The Overmind collapsed into dust. The battlefield went quiet. Sarai families emerged from hiding, tears streaming down their faces as they saw humans standing between them and annihilation. A small Sarai child approached a Terran soldier and hugged his armored leg, whispering, "Thank you." The soldier knelt and hugged them back gently. The survivors cried. The soldiers cried. Even the AI drones hovered around the children, scanning for injuries with soft blue lights. For the first time since their exile, humanity heard someone say, "You saved us." The people of Valerian gathered under the smoking sky as Arya Voss stepped onto the ground. Their leader, bruised and trembling, whispered, Why did you come?" Arya looked at him quietly, her eyes heavy with emotion. "Because when we were abandoned, you stood with us." Her voice softened. "And we repay our debts." The Sarai leader cried silently. Arya placed a hand on his shoulder. "Your people will not fall. Not while humanity breathes." Above them, Terran ships hovered like guardian angels. Around them, Terran soldiers helped rebuild broken walls. Within them, Sarai hearts healed from fear, and across the galaxy, a new truth spread. The fires on Alarion slowly died under Terran relief teams. Terran medics filled the streets like a river of calm light. Terran engineers repaired broken homes. Terran soldiers carried children on their shoulders, guiding families to temporary shelters with soft voices and steady hands. For the first time since the attack began, the Sarai saw the sunrise. But it wasn't their sun alone. High in the sky, covering half the horizon, the Astra Singularity floated like a second dawn, glowing blue, steady, massive, protective. To the Sarai people, it felt like hope had taken shape. Arya Voss stood on a high ridge overlooking the ruins of the city. Her armor was cracked, her face covered with dust and sweat. But her eyes carried a fire the galaxy hadn't seen since Earth was exiled. Around her, holoscreens flashed with incoming messages. Every major empire in the galaxy was contacting the Terran Empire at once. Some demanded to know why Earth had chosen to intervene. Some pretended they always cared about the Sarai. Some begged for negotiation. But most were simply afraid. They had seen what humans could do now. What they chose to do. A power great enough to burn the galaxy, but used to save a peaceful world instead. Arya ignored every message. Her only focus was on the Sarai civilians being treated below. Beside her, the Sarai leader, Elder Ren, wiped tears from his face. His hands trembled as he looked at the rebuilt shelters, the Terran drones scanning the injured, the way Terran soldiers bowed respectfully to Sarai elders. All of this, Ren whispered. "Human Empire, why would you do so much for us?" Arya's voice was calm, low, filled with truth that came from deep wounds. "Because once, we cried just like you did. And no one came." Ren lowered his head as more tears fell. Arya rested a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Your people stood with us when the galaxy turned away. You defended humans when the Council cast us out. You kept your hearts open when everyone closed theirs." Her voice softened further. "We repay kindness with protection. Always." Ren looked at her with gratitude so strong it nearly broke him. But far above them, the galaxy continued shaking. Because at that exact moment, the Council was broadcasting a public statement to all species. "We will investigate the Alarion event. The Terran Empire must explain why they interfered in a Council matter." Arya heard the announcement through distant speakers. Her soldiers heard it. Her fleet heard it. Even the Sarai heard it. A bitter laugh escaped one of the Terran captains standing nearby. "Council matter? They left these people to die." Arya didn't laugh. She simply lifted her chin, eyes narrowing with cold clarity. "It's time," she said quietly. "Prepare the message." Technicians tapped rapid commands. A giant holo-emitter unfolded from the hull of the Astra Singularity, rising into the sky like a pillar of shimmering light. This message would not go through normal channels. It would override every comm system in the galaxy. It would appear on every screen, every ship, every station, every world, even inside the council chamber. Connection ready, an officer reported. Arya stepped forward. Her hologram projected across the Milky Way in an instant. Dozens of alien leaders gasped. Millions of civilians froze mid-step. Ships stopped in open space. Stations dimmed their lights. The face of the Terran Empire filled the galaxy. Arya spoke with a voice steady enough to silence storms. This is Commander Arya Voss of the Terran Single Empire. A ripple spread through every species watching. We heard the cries of Ilarion. And we answered. Her tone sharpened. Not because the Council asked us. Not because we want power. Not because we seek war. She paused. But because the innocent needed help, and no one else came. Council leaders shifted uncomfortably. Some lowered their eyes. Some clenched their fists. Some trembled with shame. Arya continued. When we were exiled, you told us humanity was too emotional. Too compassionate. Too unpredictable. You feared our hearts. Her eyes hardened. So we took them with us. The holoscreen shifted to show Terran fleets surrounding Ilarion. Soldiers carrying Sarai children. Medics healing wounded. This is what you feared. Arya looked directly into the hearts of billions. You were right. A silence deeper than space itself spread through the galaxy. Then Arya delivered the line that would be carved into history forever. We will not harm. We will not conquer. But if the innocent call for help, we will answer, whether you approve or not. Her voice grew cold as iron. And if you abandon the weak again, Astra Singularity's lights pulsed behind her, glowing like the heartbeat of a titan. Then the Terran Empire will stand alone between them and the darkness. Every species leaned forward. Every leader swallowed hard. Arya finished with a final sentence that shattered the galaxy's arrogance. Earth did not disappear. Earth became something you cannot ignore. The galaxy held its breath. Then her hologram faded. The light vanished. Silence returned. On Ilarion, the Sarai began to cheer softly, then louder, then with full hearts, not because Earth saved them, but because Earth believed they deserved saving. Terran soldiers bowed their heads. Some cried quietly. Some stood proud. Some simply breathed deeply, knowing they fulfilled the oath humanity carried in its bones. Never again will any voice scream alone into the dark. Arya Voss looked up at the sky one last time. The stars seemed brighter now. And she whispered to herself. We were cast out, but now we rise for others.